Welcome, everybody. How's it going? So this is part 2 of Will from D&D Shorts and myself. We are doing just like a live, going in blind here to the newest Unearthed Arcana that Wizards of the Coast just released for D&D 1, 5.5, whatever you want to call it. Part 1 of this series is right up there in the top right corner of your screen. Just click on that and you'll get to it. I will put a link in the video description as well. Of course, you're going to want to watch part 1 over on Will's channel on D&D Shorts. So Will, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. It's been a lot of fun so far. On the off chance that there is a viewer of mine who is not familiar with you or your channel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a D&D Shorts. I have a D&D YouTube channel where I mostly make lighthearted content about builds that I think are fun or interesting, or just generally about D&D stuff. It's very, good times focused, nothing too serious. But yeah, mainly it's just a real honor to be here. It's a little surreal, actually, to be on a channel that you've watched for many years and looked up to. So I'm just excited to be here, and I'm breaking down some of this new stuff and having that insight and that conversation is really cool. Because all this came out today and it's big. Yeah. Which you can probably already see the length of the video, that this is going to be. Which
my viewers were like, oh yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
I've always thought, because I've watched a lot of your stuff and really been super impressed with how quickly, your channel's grown, and kind of thought, so this guy kind of does the same sort of stuff that I do. So if you're not familiar with D&D Shorts, absolutely check it out. If you like my content, you're gonna love Will's stuff. I almost am like, oh, he's just kind of doing what I'm doing, but he's just better at YouTube than I am.
No, I don't know. I just throw a lot of things on screen.
Yeah, no, you're like, okay, here's something really cool that you can do in D&D. Blah 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 blah. Done. And I'm like, hi. Let's get comfortable. I'm the some of my viewers say the Bob Ross of D&D, right? So
that makes sense. Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely.
We're going to talk about a character, and we're going to take our time, and we're going to explain all of the reasons for why I'm taking this choice and not that choice, and what the numbers look like, and blah,
yeah,
blah.
it's the thorough deep dive. I think that's what's so great. And that's why this is, because my content usually focuses on one thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't got time to make a long video, man. So in a way we're bringing that perspective of this individual combos as we go through and we see all this new stuff, but also you're bringing that perspective of on a macro level. Sure. This is how this will evolve over the course of many different builds. So
yeah,
I think that's the exciting thing. And we've got Sorcerer, Wizard, and Warlock left to go.
Right. So we went over in part 1 all of the martial focus stuff, the weapons, which was really the biggest difference, I think. The weapon specialization stuff, and then barbarians and fighters. And so also in this Unearthed Arcana, which is too big, as we've discussed already, probably, we get Sorcerer, Wizard, and Warlock. So there's still a lot to cover. Let's just jump right in. So yes, the mages, sorcerers.
Yeah, this feels like the most significant amount of changes we've seen so far.
So far, anyway. All right, so let's just go over this little chart here to see if anything's jumping out at us. Yeah, you're getting meta magic at 2nd level, which is awesome.
Yeah, it makes multiclassing much quicker. So because you're multiclassing usually to get some kind of sorcery points.
Right.
Feature.
We are now prepared spellcasters, right? And this is not new info. I mean, they've talked about this in previous UAs, so that's a big change. But I think I like it. I think I like that all spellcasters are essentially going to be prepared spellcasters now.
It does. It unifies them, doesn't it? And it gives you more. You pick your spell. You're not landed with a permanent spell.
Right.
If you pick a bad spell because you don't know,
I picked a crappy one and I didn't realize it.
Yeah. If your DM is very hardcore and does not let you change, that's kind of lame. So at least this guards against that.
Yes. Subclass at 3rd level now instead of 1st. Obviously, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Okay, there's some new features here. Sorcerer's Vitality. Arcane Eruption, Sorcery
Yeah.
Incarnate.
That sounds like such a lot of these are just like awesome guitar solos from the 80s. Like
Yeah.
Arcane Eruption. That sounds like such a Van Halen thing. Sorcery Incarnate. That's another Van Halen banger.
Arcane Eruption. Right. More meta
what is that
magic.
word at the bottom? Arcane Apotheosis.
Apotheosis.
It sounds a bit
That's
like an
new.
illness. Yeah.
Yeah, or
That is also a new one.
Something that an apothecary would.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Craft.
Yeah, would cure. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot to go over, it looks like, so let's just jump in. Hit points the same. Yeah, your hit dice, your proficiencies are the same. You still get your con save throw proficiency.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice for concentration checks. No. Simple weapons. I think that's the same.
I think they always got simple weapons. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no. We used to just get daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and light crossbows.
Okay, so you get you
more
picked up the
breadth.
short sword. Yeah,
Right,
okay, that's
yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Probably no armor proficiencies still, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no armor training. Okay. Multi-classing, see if there's anything different here. You still need a 13 charisma. Okay, so first level you get innate sorcery. An event in your past left an indelible mark on you. If you have simmering magic that is sometimes challenging to control, you always have the Sorceress Burst and Chaos Bolt spells prepared. So this is interesting because I think there was some pushback with previous UAs where they're like, look, you're just going to have a spell list, right? And as a sorcerer, you're going to get the arcane spell list. And as a wizard, you're going to get the arcane spell list. And as a blah, 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 you're going to get, whatever. And it's like, cool, but like you kind of then take away some of the ability to say, okay, this spell is just like unique and cool and special and like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like class defining, right, for this class. And you kind of don't have that anymore, but it looks like they're maybe backtracking a little bit on that.
So they're giving you chaos
spells.
Right? Well, I mean, Sorcerer's Burst, that's a new spell, right?
Right.
Or at least I don't know about that one.
We better figure out what that is.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, so it's a cantrip. So Chaos Bolt's your first level option. Sorcerer's Burst is a cantrip.
Okay, I need to. Okay, here we go. So yes, you cast Sorceress Energy at one creature, or it's an action to cast. Make a ranged attack roll, spell attack roll against the target. It's 120-foot range. On a hit, they take a d6 of damage. If you roll a 6 on the d6 for the spell, you can roll another d6 and add it to the damage. Okay, so it's got a little Chaos Bolt flavor.
If you roll a 6 on a d6 for this spell,
so
you can roll another
assuming
d6.
It'll scale like other.
So it would
other cantrips, right? Like
yeah, but
level,
my question is, if you
do 2d6.
Yeah, but if you get a 6 on that extra d6, do you add another d6? Because it's if you roll.
So if you roll two sixes.
So if you roll your first 6, you get a 6, and then you roll another 6, you get another 6. You can go for a 3d6.
I mean,
and it says if you roll
whenever you cast the spell, the maximum number of these d6s you can add to the spell's damage equals your spellcasting ability modifier.
Okay,
so
we get
you
jump
can do
into
that up until your charisma mod cap.
So up to 5 times, I guess.
Right. I mean, that's fun. That's cool.
That is fun. Yeah. Is it better than Firebolt? That's the question. Well, this is free, so it's better than Firebolt because it's free. But is it in a vacuum? Same range, right?
What's the math?
Same range.
You have a
1 in 6 chance of doing 2d6 damage.
So call it like 18% chance or something. I'm getting my calculator out.
Yeah.
17% chance of rolling a d6. So Firebolt's going to do 2 more damage on average, but 17% of the time you're going to get an extra d6 out of it. I don't know. Regardless, it's fun. And
you get to choose the damage type. It looks
right. Yes, and that's cool. So acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, psychic, or thunder. That will be better and cooler if they will increase what's it called? I've done too much Pathfinder lately.
Like the vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really hope in the next version in 5.5,
we
they
see more
increase
creatures with vulnerability. Yeah, it's definitely something that I think they should put their toe into. I mean, it's worth mentioning that this gets better if they increase the number of vulnerabilities, or if they increase the number of resistances. Because fire damage is such a common resistance already. If they throw out a load of
there's so much poison immunity.
Yeah, poison. Yeah, exactly. But thunder is a really good damage type. So I should imagine most of the time you'll be popping people with the thunder. It's much harder to get around that.
Yeah, and it strikes me that as the cantrip scales, not only
you're going to get more chances at your 6.
Not only is it better because you're doing more damage, but also because you're having an increased chance of getting an extra d6 out of it. I don't know. That's fun.
I think my guess is, although I can't do the maths at all, but I'm guessing that Firebolt will come out as slightly stronger. But the question is it now worth ever taking Firebolt as well? Right. Because you've already kind of got your niche of your damaging cantrip done. Might it be better to grab a Minor Illusion and another great cantrip option that's a bit more utility focused?
Right.
Shape Water, for example. Minor Illusion, Shape Water are 2 of my favorite cantrips. So I can see sorcerers using that, filling that niche with Firebolt, and it's like, yeah, sure. Sometimes it'll do more. Most of the time, it'll do a little less.
I think mathematically speaking, if we're just talking about averages, Firebolt is going to be better, right? They might want to consider bumping this to a D8, and then it's probably going to be
a D8 would probably be strictly better than Firebolt at that point. Yeah, I think that would be.
But I mean,
if it was a D8.
Is it really so bad to give the sorcerer, who's sort of like the blaster of the spellcasters, right, a little more damage on a cantrip?
No, I agree. Problem, absolutely, I agree. I mean, at that point, it's getting closer to Eldritch Blast level of good. Although, of course, Eldritch Blast has the invocations you can stack on it. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. No, I think that's it seems like a cool spell, and they get it for free, so why not?
Sure.
Chaos Bolt is obviously,
I think Chaos Bolt's the same.
It will be. Yeah. And it's a fine spell as well. It's again, it's just like it's slightly worse than Chromatic Orb, isn't it? It's just, yeah.
Okay, so spellcasting cantrips. I don't think there's anything too new
all the
here,
same.
It does look like they're getting more spells.
It's just all about
changing your prepared spells. Yep.
Blah blah blah.
Now, okay, Font of Magic. So you tap into a Wellspring of Magic, and we're getting our sorcery points here. The creating spell slots table shows the cost of creating spell slots at a given level and the minimum. And it lists the minimum sorcerer level you must be to create a slot. Okay, so
you now need to be so you've got so you have to be 9th level to create a 5th level. So it's the level that you have to be to cast that spell anyway. Okay.
But it's just basically saying, look, you can't take a dip here into sorcerer, and I mean, but you wouldn't have the sorcery points to create a high level.
Yeah, I guess there's the meta magic adept.
The meta magic adept.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a way to, I don't know.
A little,
was that I agree. Something that was really abused?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess they didn't like it, right? Arbitrary, but it's not going to hurt the sorcerer at all.
No, and I think it seems like we're seeing a lot of that kind of stuff where Wizards of the Coast is trying to say, look, we don't want to prevent you from multi-classing necessarily, but we just don't want to, we want the class to feel like they're the best version of themselves. Like we were talking about in part 1 with the fighter, right?
With the fighter, that's a great way of putting it. They don't want a multi-class sorcerer to feel better like as a sorcerer than a pure sorcerer. That makes total sense. Yeah, well said.
Right. Okay, meta magic at 2nd level. I love this because it always felt weird to me to get Font of Magic at 2nd level, but then no meta magic options until 3rd.
It definitely felt like they didn't come up with a 3rd level option, so they bumped meta magic. It's like exactly. Okay,
so and now there's cool stuff here. We get 3 meta magic options instead of 2. And we can swap them out with a long rest, and that's huge. I think that just adds a lot of like sort of versatility. And again, if you took one that you're like, oh, this meta magic kind of sucks, and now I'm stuck with it, you can swap it out once per day. So that's cool.
Yes, and you can definitely see situational meta magic. I mean, I love subtle spell, but I know a lot of people prefer the more powerful options, right? And you can see, look, we're going to be doing a heist tomorrow. Let's bring in subtle spell.
Yeah,
you can totally see that.
Or we're going to be in front of the noble and we want to, like, really get him on our side. It'd be nice if we could charm person, but, we don't want him to know that we're, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing subtle spell for these specific things. Yeah. Or exactly. We want to dominate this guard. Let's bring heightened spell tomorrow. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so subclass at 3rd level now instead of 1st. Feat. Okay, what's the Sorcerer's Vitality?
Yeah, that's a new one. So you can use your innate magic to heal yourself. You always have the Sorcerer's... Oh, it's another spell. Okay, so they just give you another free spell. Yeah, Sorcerer's. And I'm guessing it's a healing option.
Vitality. So...
so you regain a number of hit points. So it's an action, and you regain a number of hit points equal to 2d6 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. And if you have any of the following conditions, they end blinded, deafened, and poisoned. Okay. Pretty, isn't it?
I mean, it's a 3rd level spell, so that's a pretty
that's a big investment. But healing spells have always kind of sucked in D&D.
Yeah, and self-healing. I mean, 2d6 plus your spell casting. 2d6 isn't. I mean,
healing word at this level would be 3d6 plus your spell casting. Would
3d4,
as a bonus
right?
action. 3d4. Okay.
Right.
Is it? I can't remember.
But
I think Cure Wounds
is 8.
D8.
Yeah, it's 3d8 plus spellcasting ability modifier. Doesn't end your blinded, deafened, and poison, so it's kind of like lesser restoration plus, a Cure Wounds light, or maybe healing word. Yeah,
yes.
But it's an action, not a bonus action. It's only on yourself, and it only scales by a d6 per level, so that's not amazing, frankly.
No, I would have liked to have seen at least 3d6 for a 3rd level spell.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's just splitting hairs. Even then, I think it would still have been pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a free spell, but it's also the only feature that we get at 5th level. Well, I shouldn't say that. We get 3rd level spells.
It still eats a spell slot, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just giving you
for free or anything.
Yeah, I think they definitely this does not feel good, actually. The fact that it also costs a spell slot, of which you only get 1 3rd level spell slot at this level.
Yeah,
I think this is never going to be used. This is going to be the new counter charm that bards have that people just forget exists. They'll be like, what? There's a 5th level.
There's a 6th level ability?
Yeah,
I would think only, like, if you're blinded and you're low on health. Okay. You know what I mean? But otherwise, probably not. And even then, like, if somebody's got lesser restoration, well, that's only a 2nd level spell slot. So, hey, cleric, like, help me out here.
It feels. Yeah, this. I think this would need a real kick up the ass to
give it a bonus action. And
honestly, that would do it, right? Yeah. Actually, bonus action,
or use it once per day for free.
Yeah, or both, honestly.
Sure.
Or just completely rework it. If you want to have this idea as an action spell, it would have to do more than give you extra hit points. It'd like maybe if it, you know what, instead of giving you 2d6 hit points, maybe it cured those conditions and got you back some sorcery points. Maybe it got you 3 sorcery points or something. That could be interesting. Yeah. It needs work though, that one.
Okay, we get a subclass feature at 6th level, Arcane Eruption. You can now unleash magical energy that roils inside you. You always have the Arcane Eruption spell prepared.
Okay.
I should just know ahead of time that we're just...
Yeah, you're going to be popping across. At least we do have that Control F. Okay, I'll read this one. Churning magical energy explodes in a 20-foot radius sphere at 120 feet as an action, so it's a fireball. When you cast this spell, and you select a damage type between acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, psychic, or thunder. So that's some good options. Each creature in the sphere must make a con save, which is meh. On a failed save, they take 66 of the chosen type. On a success, they take half as much damage. Choose one of those d6s. Okay, yeah. The number rolled on that die determines a condition that's applied to each creature that failed the save, as shown below. The creature has a condition till the end of your next turn. And you have incapacitated, which is fantastic. Blinded, which is good. It just happens. if they fail the initial save.
Right.
Frightened, which is good. Poisoned, which is good. Charmed, which is good. Deafened, which is meh. But
you get to choose.
You get to choose, yeah. So your chances are if you're rolling 66, you're gonna get something. Even if you don't get okay, sorry. You go.
Here's what's great, is that it seems like they're trying to like make the better effects are on the worst damage.
The weaker dice. Yeah.
So it's like, oh crap, I rolled a 1. Oh, but that means I'm gonna incapacitate him. Like, that's awesome,
exactly.
Right.
Whereas if you do get a 6, hey, you're not gonna pick deafened if you can pick anything else, but you got a 6.
Yeah.
I mean, charmed is very good at 5. To be fair,
it is, and poisoned is pretty good at half damage on disadvantage on attacks. Like, there's frightened. I mean, there's good stuff in there, and yeah, because at first I was like, well, this is just a weaker fireball that you can.
That is a weaker fireball.
But so you can choose the damage type. Cool, 66. I mean, it's not bad damage. It's not great.
No, it's not bad at all.
4th level spell slot, but then this condition effect is pretty great.
And it's a 20-foot radius sphere is not a small. You could most encounters you're going to be hitting 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
If half fail, just blinding a couple of people. I mean, I suppose you always got to balance it against what else is there, right?
Right.
Would you rather just slam down a hypnotic pattern at 3rd level and guarantee the incapacitated, or would you rather or a fireball and guarantee the damage? This is kind of like in between.
Yeah. Which is cool, and if nothing else, it's interesting, right? It makes for and it's always prepared, so it's not like you're giving up a spell.
Yeah, you're not giving up, but you are giving up a 4th level spell slot.
It's definitely an expensive spell slot. The worst part about it for me is that it's a con save. And that's gonna make it like
that's gonna be hard.
Because if I really want him to be incapacitated, well, hypnotic pattern is a wisdom save, and that's probably going to work a lot more effectively, and you get to choose who it impacts, don't you?
Hypnotic pattern, I can't remember. I think the range is about the same though, and the people you're hitting. Hypnotic pattern is the better option for reliable
control.
For sure, and it's a spell slot below.
Right, and fireball, same thing, spell slot below, better damage, better saving throw. Yeah, I don't know. I can definitely see times where it would be useful, but it's not maybe amazing.
Again, it's one of those things where maybe this would make it too strong to give you 1 free 4th level spell a day at this level, but something like that, where it was free once per day, I think that would really make it like, wow.
So even if everybody makes their saving throw and you're only doing essentially 3d6 of damage, well, hey, at least it didn't cost me a spell slot.
Yeah.
That or change up the save. Make it a dex save, or a wisdom.
A dex save would really, because dex is usually still very high.
Sure,
but it's
decent.
It's not quite as pretty much everything has high con.
Yeah,
because every big creature they want it with, they want it chunky with the hit points.
Right.
Still, and you're right. It's definitely interesting, and that seems like it could lead to some fun moments.
All right, so at 9th level we get the Sorcery Incarnate. And that's also a spell, so this is automatically prepared. It's a bonus action to cast.
Nice.
Transform. It does require concentration though, up to a minute.
Okay.
A bonus action concentration spell. Those are not common.
No. Yeah.
The magic within you. Well, anyway, the magic within you blooms, transforming you into a glimmering being of magical energy for the duration. You regain 1d4 sorcery points.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, until the spell ends. You also gain the following benefits. You can use up to 2 of your metamagic options on each spell you cast, provided you pay the sorcery point cost. And you have advantage on the attack rolls of every spell you cast. I'm interested.
Yeah, that's got me thinking.
Concentrate.
Bonus action as well.
5th level spell slot. It's a bonus action to cast, and because unless they change the rules on spell casting, and maybe they will now that you can't use action surge to cast a second
multiple
level
spells.
spell on your turn, but you're using your bonus action to cast a spell, so on this turn, for the rest of your turn, you can only cast cantrips with a casting time of an action, right? But still, it lasts for a minute, so on subsequent turns, 2 of your metamagic options on each spell you cast. you got to pay the sorcery points. So, you know, you're going to run out of sorcery points pretty quick if you're doing this a lot. But
it does give you, you know, an average
some.
of 2 or 3 back. Yeah.
And advantage on the attack rolls of every spell you cast.
I mean, this makes me think of, we haven't got there yet, but this makes me think of the 1 level Warlock dip, right? And at level 11, you'd be, or level 12, I guess, you'd be, oh no, it would be just level 11 Sorcerer. Yeah, you'd be hitting for, you'd have advantage on every Eldritch Blast. So you could do this and fire off 3 Eldritch Blasts.
Yeah. Interesting.
What other good spells have, at this level, are there any significant attack roll spells? They're mostly saves, right? Like if you'd gone for the big, like Disintegrate, for example.
Sure, Disintegrate's a save. Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray would probably be the best.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
where you're popping off 7 attacks
nicely.
at level 5.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Scorching Ray is definitely it. Yeah, that's the pick, isn't it? Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's the combo.
There's something to play with there, I think.
For 2 5th level spell slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combo.
Sorcery Incarnate. Okay, so now what else do we have here? Subclass feature at 10th, get feet, additional meta magic, 3 more meta magic options at 13th level.
Yeah, so you basically got them all.
Yeah, that's nice. Subclass features, Sorceress Restoration. Is that the same? You regain 4 expended sorcery points whenever you roll initiative or finish a short rest.
I think that was their old capstone ability.
Oh, okay.
So it used to be level 20.
Okay, well, that's nice that it got moved up.
Yeah.
And then Arcane Apotheosis. You read this one.
Okay. You are now so suffused with magic that you can alter reality itself. You always have the Wish spell prepared, and if you undergo the spell's casting stress, you have no chance of losing the ability to cast the spell. In addition, if you cast Wish to replicate a spell of 1st through 8th level without expending a 9th level spell slot. Whoa, what? So you can use Wish to cast, you can use Wish to replicate any 1st to 8th level spell without using your 9th level spell slot to do so. You instead expend a slot of the replicated spells level. Okay. Once you use Wish this way, okay, 1 spell long rest.
I mean,
that feels good, man. That feels
does.
I mean, Sorcerer's got Wish anyway, right? So
yes.
Okay, so it's not like a huge.
As long as your DM allowed it.
Yeah. It's not like a huge shake up to what Sorcerers could do. It just kind of opens up the opportunity for Wish. This feels splashy, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, oh, it's okay.
I mean, it's nice that you always have it prepared, so you can prepare another 9th level spell.
Yeah, you can bring along your Disaster Blade.
That in and of itself, you can bring, your Meteor Swarm or whatever. And
access to any 1st to 8th level spell is really good. I mean, there's some great Paladin only spells and Druid only.
Or Cleric only. Yeah. Exactly. That you could bust out a I don't even know, Power Word Kill or something that that's not. Never mind.
But Power Word Stun is like or Power Word Pain. Yeah, and there's of course the thing about Wish is the spell takes effect without its casting time. Mm-hmm. So I think the most broken thing to do is Wish Simulacrum, right? Yeah. And then you just get another U instantly.
Yeah.
And interestingly, if you Wish Simulacrum, because you're only casting a 7th level spell, not a 9th level spell, your Simulacrum could then also cast Wish. That's pretty funny because it would still have your 9th level spell slot because you haven't used it. That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be copying you after you've used that feature, so it wouldn't be able to cast Wish. It wouldn't be able to Wish for free again.
Sure.
Of course, that's assuming they don't change Simulacrum, which is, I think most people agree, one of the most problematically powerful spells.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah, it's too strong. I
always get people being like, how come you didn't, use Simulacrum? And I'm just like, because it's broken.
Yeah. It's not only, it's exactly the worst kind of broken as well, where it's not fun for anyone to keep track of. Right. It's a pain in the ass to just I
need 5,000 gold worth of whatever component, and then I need a bunch of snow and ice
powdered snow
and all this time to do it, and they have like no hit points, and It's and like
And you've got to track the spell slots. They don't regain the spell slots.
Yeah,
It feels like
exactly.
it's only ever cast in exploitative, and then it just makes, and then suddenly you're getting 2 turns for everyone else's 1 turn. It's just not a fun spell.
Yeah.
So, but this feature though, it's all right. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It
yeah.
is. And that's pretty much it for like the base level sorcerer. So
meta magics. Okay, I'll go first with careful. So when you make you cast a spell that forces other creatures to make a save, you can protect some of them. You spend 1 sorcery point and choose any number of those creatures. So you choose your allies, and they automatically succeed on the saving throw against the spell, and they take no damage. Oh, so it's total protection.
It's sculpt spell. From the Evoker Wizard.
Yeah, they can't even. It's not even that if they pass the save, they take nothing. They are guaranteed safe from that fireball. Okay, that seems good.
That's great, actually, because it was annoying to be like, oh, I'm careful spell, and now I can cast a fireball, and I don't care who it hits. Well, it's like, well, I can assure that you make your saving throw, my ally, but
you're still getting toasted.
Take half damage. Now they can. Okay, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yes, feels like what it should have been all along.
Yeah. Distant spell. When you cast a spell that has a range of at least 5 feet, you can spend a sorcery point to increase the spell's range by a number of feet equal to 30 times your sorcerer level. That feels different.
I think I think before it just doubled.
Yeah. Which what was weird about that is you'd have a spell with a range of 5 feet, and now it's only 10, and you have a range of touch, but that is 30 feet. Like because they had the same
it did
wording.
That, didn't it? Where it had where touch spells went to 30.
Yeah.
So that was really good with
range.
That was really good with inflict wounds and your familiar. You could do stuff with your familiars.
Right. And so now it looks like.
So now you can't though.
Well, no, it's still there. When you cast a spell that has range touch, you can spend a sorcery point to make the range of the spell.
Oh, sorry, I missed that bottom half. Yeah. Okay. Great.
So everything is at least 30 feet. It's just that if it was 5, well, now it's 35. If it was 10, well, now it's 40.
And that's only at level 1, of course. It's 30 feet times your sorcerer level. So at level 20, it's 600 feet, which is pretty good.
Yeah, very cool.
I think.
I mean, it's better.
It's better. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be as good as the other powerhouses that we used to.
Sure.
So I'll take Empowered Spell. When you roll damage for a spell, you can spend 1 sorcery point to re-roll a number of the damage dice equal to your Charisma modifier, and you have to use the new rolls. And you can use this even if you've already used a different metamagic option. So seems pretty good with the Arcane Explosion Eruption feature, right? You can re-roll your...
The same.
I think that is the same.
Yeah.
But you could re-roll your... If you're looking for a specific condition, or you could re-roll your cantrip to try and get your extra D6s, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. So there's some uses there. For only 1 sorcery point, and you can slap it on top of other things. Yeah, it seems okay.
Right. Extended spell. Cast a spell that's duration of a minute or longer. Spend a sorcery. If the affected spell requires concentration, you have advantage on any saving throw you make to maintain that concentration. I think that's the only thing that's new. That is new. Concentration, which is nice.
Which is pretty decent. Sorcerers already have the con proficiency. So you're usually rocking a pretty tasty con save anyway. You're usually like by the time you +9 is not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you're getting to the high levels, so
still
with advantage,
especially at lower levels, that's definitely useful, and makes me think maybe I'll take extended spell after all, especially if it's like an extended spell that lasts for an hour. Well, 2 hours, that's
yes, you're really for only 1 sorcery point. I'll have to have a think about what spells you'd want to use that on, but I know for a fact there will be some that you can get a lot out of that extended time. Spell, which used to cost 3 for sure, so that's cost down now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw, you can spend 2 sorcery points to give 1 target of the spell disadvantage on its saving throws against that spell.
Yeah.
So it's on all saving throws against that spell. So if it's
first.
Yes, so an ongoing spell effect where they can repeat saves, they'll always have disadvantage. I think that makes this a lot more useful for spells like domination type effects where people can repeat every time they take damage.
And it's only 2 points.
2 points, when it used to be 3.
Yeah.
It was overcosted before and people still took it. I think this is going to be very popular.
Quicken Spell is the meta magic option that I have never not taken on any sorcerer build that I've ever done.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
You cast a spell that has the casting time of an action, 2 sorcery points to change it to a bonus action. You can't modify a spell in this way if you've already cast a spell of first level or higher on the current turn. Nor can you cast a spell of first level or higher on this turn after modifying a spell in this way. Okay.
So that's covered by the rules anyway.
Yeah,
there is already a rule that says you can't cast a bonus action spell.
And that makes me think that they're going to change the rules.
Yeah, either they're going to change that rule because it confused a lot of people anyway.
Yeah.
Or they're just putting this in here to remind people.
Yeah.
Because it's a rule that people very often get wrong. Casting multiple spells in a turn. It's one of the big 3 rules.
If you're casting a spell with a bonus action, you can only cast spells that are cantrips. For the rest of your turn with a casting time of 1 action.
Yes, you know what this does?
So
this allows you to counter spell afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It still doesn't. Okay, never mind. It's the rest of your turn, so it still can't do the counter spell.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I mean, no big change there. Then.
Yeah. Still a great option though.
Absolutely. Still my
very
favorite.
powerful.
Yeah.
And then you got Seeking Spell. If you make an attack roll for a spell and miss, you can spend 2 sorcery points to reroll the d20. And you can use that even if you've already used a different meta magic option.
Is this
Field, is that the same? Seeking Spell? I don't remember.
Seeking Spell.
Is that Tasha's one?
Make an attack roll. Yeah, it is. A spell miss, 2 sorcery points, reroll, must use the new roll. Can use it even if, it looks the same.
Okay. I'm not crazy about it then. That feels very expensive in terms of sorcery points.
I think the only
for one attack roll?
Yeah, the only time where you'd I mean, again, like what are the big attack roll spells that you're even going to be wanting to spend 2 sorcery points to make sure they hit? Disintegrate's a saving throw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Scorching Ray fires
you'd only
multiple.
affecting one of them. Yeah. I can't think of an attack roll where it's just an attack roll and it's one attack where you'd be like, this has got to land, Yeah. I think this could afford to go down to 1 sorcery point, and I still don't think anyone would take it.
Yeah, probably not.
Fair enough. Okay.
Subtle spell, spend a sorcery point, no verbal, somatic, or material components except material components that are consumed by the spell. I think that's the same.
Yeah, pretty much. I think originally material components you had to still have.
Yeah, so now it allows for everything unless it's a material component that's consumed by the spell. That's a buff. It's a buff.
It's a buff, and this is already my favorite meta magic option. Like I say, I love subtle spell.
Yeah.
It's
fun. It's
transmuted.
Situationally useful.
It is. It's just you can have a lot of fun. I'm just I'm glowing. It's because my lighting in my room is bad, you guys. I'm not actually the devil.
Why are you so embarrassed? Well,
I can try and mess with it, but I don't know if it would be worth the time.
Don't worry about it.
So what's next? Transmuted spell. When you cast a spell that deals a type of damage from the following list, you can spend 1 sorcery point to change it. Okay, so it's the same as it was.
Yeah.
Acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, thunder. So they're really carving the sorcerer's niche as the guy who can swap around all your damage types.
Right.
It can be useful.
Or scribes wizards.
Yes, it is. It's just taking it right out of the scribes wizards, isn't it?
Well, to be fair, this is only elemental damage, whereas the scribes get a little more. Yeah. Okay, and twinned spell. 1 to 5 sorcery points. Okay, so that's cast a spell 1st to 5th level that you also cast on your previous turn by expending a spell slot. You can fuel this turn's casting of the spell by spending a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level rather than that is gutted.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a completely different ability with the same name. This is like, terrible. I mean, we can talk about how good this is individually, but this is, I think we can agree, this is so much worse than Twin Spell.
Yes.
the meta magic.
Yeah, I mean, it
Which
just lets
along
you,
with yeah,
it just lets you use sorcery points instead of spell slot, which you can
but
use to
you can already
create
do
a
if you
spell
swap them
slot.
out as a bonus action.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so a 5th level spell slot is worth like 7 sorcery points. So this would net you like 2 sorcery points.
I mean,
But
twin spell is really, really strong.
Yes.
Depending on the spell that you're twinning, right? It is also really expensive. But yeah, like, man, I had a one shot one time where the whole thing was built around like one of us twinning haste. And so we would both get haste, and then the other one would concentrate on something else that would also benefit both of us, and it just made like a powerhouse duo. The yin yang combo, that was one of my first 2 build
Oh, that's such
videos.
a cool idea. Yeah. And I think twin spell had loads of applications like that. You could do so much with it.
Yeah.
The obvious stuff is twinning your big
disintegrate.
your disintegrates or your suck or saves, twinned polymorph, like 2 T-Rexes on your side. Absolutely fantastic. One thing I was going to say, one thing this does have going for it is it lets you cheat on available spell slots quicker. So when you're level 9, you can drop 2 cones of cold, one after another, like bam, bam. When normally you only have 1 5th level spell slot, right?
Right.
But I still think this is a big L as a replacement. As its own option, it might be okay. But I think twin spell's too fun and too cool to lose altogether.
And I have to believe that ultimately they were like, this is too powerful. They have to think now with every spell that they come out with, okay, what would happen if we twinned this? Like, would that be broken? You know what I mean? And I can see them. And again, like getting back to the point that we made in part 1 about like the martial spellcaster divide, right? And maybe potentially trying to bring them a little bit closer in power level. Maybe this is one, again, very small step towards kind of reining in some of the power of spellcasters.
I don't know. I mean, you can see the design philosophy, right? You can see the logic here. They're thinking, okay, what does twin spell actually do? Well, what it really does is it gives you a free casting of your spell again, targeting someone else.
Sure.
So if you cast haste, you're using a 3rd level spell slot, and you're spending 3 sorcery points to cast haste again. So they're kind of doing that, but it's split over 2 turns, which means the concentration isn't there, the action economy isn't there.
It's split over 2 turns, and you can't benefit by twinning a concentration spell.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be okay as its own thing, but I think it's a shame to lose twin spell. Twin spell is too cool an ability.
It's definitely a nerf. Okay, so let's get into the subclass here. Draconic Sorcery as opposed to Draconic Bloodline, but it's the Dragon Sorcerer, right? Okay, so you get 3rd level Draconic Resilience. Your hit point maximum increases by 3 and by 1 again whenever you gain a sorcery level. That's a little bit of a buff. It used to just be 1 per level, so you get a couple extra hit points.
Well, no, but this comes in at 3rd level, not 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same.
Okay. So yeah, it's the same. Never mind.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah.
And then you get dragon-like scales. When you're not wearing armor, your base armor class equals 10 plus your dex mod plus your charisma modifier. So that's much better, especially at later levels than the old just 13 plus your.
The original was just mage armor.
It was mage armor.
But yeah, it was mage armor without spell slot. Whereas this, like you're right, your charisma modifier will be +5.
Yeah.
If you're doing sorcerer normally.
And I mean, it's not unreasonable to expect that you'd have a 14 dexterity, right, as a sorcerer if you were, concerned at all about your armor class.
Yes.
So
I think that's about right. I would assume it's normally charisma, constitution, dexterity is your 3rd that you care about.
So now once we cap that charisma, we're at a 17 AC without armor. That's a turtle.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not so bad.
Or you could just pick a turtle.
Yes, I mean,
but then you'd miss out on other cool racial options.
Yeah, that is your downside, right? You're giving up on other things. I think that this is okay. It's definitely a buff, right? It's a buff.
Yeah. It's unarmored defense for sorcerers, like monks and barbarians. Okay, what's dragon speech?
So your speech is understood by all creatures. So you speak Draconic, right?
Right. Only it's a little better in that.
It's better because it's all creatures of the dragon type. So even if there are dragons that don't speak languages, I don't know if there are. There presumably are some dragon types,
or even kobolds or dragonborn.
That's true. Any dragons. I mean, that's a tag, isn't it? Creature type dragon.
Yeah, maybe dragonborn or humanoids.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. There definitely are. There will be some dragons that don't actually speak a language, so this is better than Draconic.
Sure.
Flavor ability, innit?
Flavor, yeah. Okay, so elemental affinity. Your Draconic magic has an affinity with the damage type, right? You have resistance to that damage type, and when you cast a spell that deals damage to the damage type, you can add your charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of the spell. I think the only thing that's different there is that you don't have to spend a sorcery point to gain resistance. You just have resistance.
It's just free, yeah.
And
it's a shame that we're beyond the days of them making mistakes, like saying you can add your charisma modifier to the damage roll of that spell.
Right.
So people can break it with magic missile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
It's still, it's one of those things where it's like way better on Fireball than Scorching Ray, right? Because Fireball, you just roll the damage once, and there you go. And now everybody gets, extra damage.
Yeah,
Scorching Ray, one of those rays does a little more damage, and then the rest are the same. All right.
So Draconic Exhalation, So this is a 10th level, which is a new thing. I think sorcerers used to only get 1st, 6th, and 14th.
Yeah,
or is that,
and,
I
then,
can't remember,
and then 18th. Yeah, you're right. They got dragon wings at 14th.
So when you cast your Sorcerer's Burst, that's the one that heals you, if I remember.
No,
that's the 5th level one. That's the 5th level one.
Yeah, Fireball that inflicts a condition.
Okay, you can exhale it in a 15-foot cone rather than selecting a target within range. Okay.
No. I'm sorry. Sorcerer's Burst is the cantrip, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, so that gives you a breath weapon attack at this level, which would be dealing 2d6 at this point, but 3d6 very soon. 3d6 at your next level. And then, of course, you've got all those extra d6s.
Yeah. So
and you can choose the damage type associated with your elemental affinity.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I guess, though, because it's an area of effect, it's not like you're rolling the damage for each target. You're still just rolling it once, right? Oh,
no, sorry, I didn't finish it. When you do, you make a separate attack and damage rolls against each creature in the spell's cone. So
I apologize.
It essentially lets you target up to 3 or 4 creatures, maybe if you're willing to get very close.
And that's really smart of them to do that, because what it does is it means a lot more opportunities to get to roll a 6.
Yes.
Damage and get some bonus 6s. Some bonus extra d6s. So yeah, I mean, that's cool. If you can hit 2 or 3 targets.
It is good. It does 15 foot is quite close range for a d6.
Not a huge AoE.
You're getting if you want to get multiple creatures with this, you've probably got to get very up and close with the one nearest to you.
Yes.
So you might want to have a misty step
just right.
Yeah, you might be standing right next to someone, but you might the play pattern might be do this misty step away.
Sure.
And run.
But you could potentially hit 2 or 3 targets with, next level 3d6 each, but then a pretty high likelihood of doing some extra d6s.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fun. It's definitely a fun ability. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be the strongest sorcerer subclass out there, but
no, and it's not like that's crazy damage at level 10 or 11, right? Like 3d6, 3d6. I mean, it is a cantrip, so it is nice in that it's an area of effect cantrip, right? With
and it's every turn as well.
Yeah.
Like it really is like if you could find a way, if you built in a way, maybe a hill dwarf, right? And you build in a way to just really tank up. There probably is room here for a build that wants to stay as close to the front as you can, and just every turn, you're kind of quick and spelling your main damaging spell, and then your main action. I think that's reasonable.
I'm for sure building a character around this that's like an area of effect sustained damage dealer. Of course, it doesn't work until 10th level, so yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, you got to work your way up
this
there.
character does, but it doesn't actually take effect until your campaign's probably almost over.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, and then I think that's a fine ability. I think that's fun. And what's the last one?
Dragon wings. Your innate magic can now manifest as spectral draconic wings on your back, which is the same. But okay, now before you just had wings, like kind of all the time. You had flying speed equal to your current speed, and they last until you dismiss them. But here, they only last while your sorcery incarnate spell is active. And that was the one that was concentration.
The 5th level concentration bonus
and it gives
action.
you advantage and stuff like that. You sprout those wings, gain a fly speed equal to your speed, and can hover. In addition, at the end of each of your turns, you can flap the wings to unleash magical energy, dealing damage to each creature of your choice within 15 feet of yourself. Damage equals your charisma modifier, and it's the damage of your elemental affinity. Okay, so, and was that a bonus action?
That was a bonus action spell, yeah.
At the end of each of your turns. Oh no, it doesn't even require, I'm just saying like...
an action.
To flap.
Oh, right, yeah.
It doesn't require any resource.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little AoE around me. Probably at this point 5 damage to all the enemies within 15 feet of me. I can fly, but basically it's basically the fly spell without having to spend spell slot.
You get it when you do your 5th level thing. Actually, I don't think this subclass is crazy powerful, but I like it a lot because I can see how this all builds together, right? Because that 5th level spell gives you advantage on all your attack rolls, which you'll be making a ton of with your 10th level feature because you're making an attack roll against everything in a 15-foot cone. And at 14th level, you'll be safe because you'll be hovering 15 feet above everyone. That's the idea. You hover above them, you breathe fire, you flap your wings. You've got this sustained, constant, draconic...
Yeah, it has a fun thematic flavor to it.
It all builds on itself, plays together well.
And it's pretty decent, sustainable area of effect damage. Like, you're doing damage to multiple enemies at a fairly short range. That's okay because you've got a decent armor class to handle it, right?
Yeah, it all plays in.
I don't know. I like it. Doesn't feel particularly overpowered, but it's cool. Yeah.
So what do you think about the sorcerers all together?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's not like these big major changes that I can think of. It's more like a series of tweaks that don't feel all bad. That a lot of them are nice. It feels like, this version of the sorcerer compared to the current version of the sorcerer, some nerfs, some buffs, and overall still in a great place because they're a spellcaster in D&D 5e.
Yeah, that's true. I think the only thing I don't like about this I don't like the twin spell, but from a design philosophy perspective, I'm not sure I'm crazy about getting access to a spell as your whole class feature.
Right.
I think I would really like to see those spells have a free casting once per day or something like that. It just feels very anemic to be, here's your 9th or 10th level feature. You can cast a spell with your one 5th level spell slot, That feels a bit.
That said, I think there's always, for full casters, there's always the built-in feature at these particular levels that we're talking about, where you get 3rd level spells now. You know what I mean? So like at 5th level, you get sorcerers. Because like if you look at the sorcerer as it exists today in 5e features, there's just a blank. But what you get is 3rd level spell slots and 3rd level spells, right? And same with 7th and 9th.
You're right. In that sense, this is, you're right. In that sense, giving you an extra ability to cast a free spell would actually be an insane buff. Yeah, so maybe for a balance reason, it's necessary. Sure. Perhaps I'm expecting too much of these, considering they're basically just very small upgrades.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Previously at 5th level, you didn't get anything, but you got 3rd level spells and 3rd level spell slots. Well, now you get 3rd level spells with 3rd level spell slots, and this one third level spell for free, and it's only for sorcerers, right? So
and you
makes
get an
them
extra
feel a
credit
little makes them feel a little more unique, I guess, than just like, what's the difference between a wizard at 5th level and a sorcerer at 5th level? Wizards get a bigger spell list.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
Now
Okay, yeah,
it's
no,
like,
that makes sense. I can understand that.
Okay, well, should we move on to the Warlock?
Yeah, let's jump into the Warlock.
Okay, so jumping into the Warlocks, let's just look at the table here first and see if there's anything that jumps out to us. Pact Boon
So Pact
at
Boon's
first level.
moved from 3rd level to 1st level, and Warlock subclass has moved from 1st level to 3rd level.
Right. Okay. I mean, that of course makes sense, right? If you're doing the subclass, if everybody gets their subclass at 3rd level, Pact Boon feels a little weird to me at 1st level, where like you haven't made your pact with your otherworldly being yet, but you have a Pact Boon.
Oh yeah, good call. It doesn't actually make any sense.
I guess this is like your initiation. You're still going through initiation with your patron. You just haven't been fully patronized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something like that.
They also actually, easy to miss, but they get 2 1st level spell slots now at level 1, not 1.
Okay, so I need to just slam on the brakes, because they are no longer getting just spell slots per short rest, right? It's like
what?
You're getting spell
Where does it say that? Spell slots. Okay, here we go. You get them on a long rest.
Yep, long rest. So
oof. Oh, I don't know about that, man.
Well, and
that's
not
a
only
big
that,
change.
Not only that.
That's a big change.
But they get spell slots like a half caster. So look at this. 2 at 1st level, 2 still at 2nd level, 3 at 3rd level, 3 still at 4th level, 2nd level spells at 5th level.
5th.
So this is a paladin ranger spell progression.
Oh man.
Capping at 5th level spells at 17th level. So
do they still have the Mystic Arcanum feature where you get 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th level spells?
I mean, that happened at 11th level previously. You'd get a 6th level spell, right? And Contact Patron, Eldritch Invocation.
We'll have to look.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be real with you, Colby, man. Like, the Warlock is my favorite class. So any changes, any changes are going to be tough. That's interesting to me that their most common piece of feedback is that Warlocks want to cast their spells more often.
Here's the thing.
I mean, maybe it was, but this feels like something that a few people might have said who don't play Warlocks all that much.
The thing about Warlocks, in my experience, and to be fair, they're not my favorite subclass, or they're not my favorite class. So you might have a different experience, but it's almost like, okay, I have 2 spell slots, maybe 3 if you're getting into later game, right? And I get them back on a short rest. That's awesome, depending on your table, right? Some tables that you might not get them back all that often. Some tables you might have your spell slots for every single combat encounter. And so I can see how that would feel problematic, because it's like the power level of the Warlock greatly varies depending on the DM.
Table to table.
Right. But in my experience playing a Warlock, for the most part, it was like I cast a really awesome concentration spell, right, with one of my spell slots, and then I save the other one in case of emergency. But for the most part, it's either making weapon attacks or eldritch blasting, right?
Yeah, depending on your packs, basically.
Yeah, and now it's like it feels like they're maybe a little bit more of a caster, but again, not a full caster, more of a half caster. So like there's like a ranger paladin feel to them, in that, okay, you can use more spells per day, maybe. I mean, once you get to 5th level, once you get to 3rd level, depends on how many short rests you are getting.
Yes, I mean, but there's so, okay, no, I hear you. But we should examine. I mean, I'm coming at this as well as a balance thing in terms of a flavor and identity thing. And I think so much was exciting about the Warlock, like how every spell was always upcast.
Yes.
So you might be able to cast more 1st level spell slots. At level 4, you can cast 3 1st level spells instead of only 2. Maybe at level 6, level 8, right? You can cast 3 second level spells. Whereas before, sure, you can only cast 2 spells, but they would always be at level 4.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
or 5.
You can cast more spells per long rest unless you were playing at a table that was getting lots of short rests. But you're casting weaker spells. So you've traded spell potency for spell frequency.
We'll have to read it because we're going to learn more as you read it. But my instinct is that this is a radical change to the point where immediately I look at this table and I wonder why play Warlock and not Paladin.
Right.
If this is another half-caster, that's a huge... never in a million years actually expected that. I thought like the short rest thing is so iconic to the Warlock. To change it, this almost feels... Just changing that one element almost feels like a whole different class.
I don't know why they wouldn't just make them full casters. I mean, I guess maybe Eldritch Blast is still better than anybody else's cantrip, and so they think that's what's iconic about Warlocks, and we're going to keep that in place, and we didn't want to have to nerf that, so we had to nerf them somewhere else. So let's just jump in here and see what we can see. So we're same hit die, D8. Let's see, proficiencies are the same. Weapons, simple weapons, that's the same. And then armor training, everybody gets medium armor. That's different. Used to be just hex blades, and
it did used to be hex blades. So that's definitely that's a buff, right? It lets you, 14 dexterity, and you're getting your half plate. You've got your 17 AC.
No shields though, still, which is kind of a bummer. But anyway, okay. Multi-classing. I'm guessing this is going to be the same.
They've all been the same so far.
Okay, so this is important. 13 in one of the Warlock's primary abilities: intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. So it looks like now you get to choose as a Warlock, and you'd heard rumors about this. I had heard intelligence or charisma. I had not heard intelligence, wisdom, or charisma for your spellcasting ability, and that's pretty cool.
It's strong. It's interesting as well. It's a build choice, right?
Yeah.
It essentially lets you choose the skills that you want to build around. So say you want to be a really perceptive, you want really good insights, you pick your wisdom as your primary spellcasting modifier, and then you build up that wisdom, and your wisdom saves will be better. Which is probably the strongest.
And
that's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it is this opens up my multi-classing, to just
the nth degree, and the multi-classing. I mean? Yes. So if you want to multi-class, you're right. If you want to multi-class Ranger Warlock, bam, you've got your Wisdom Warlock.
It used to be like Sorlocks are all over the place. Bard locks, sure. Paladin, Lockadins. Really popular, but you never see a wizard Warlock or a or a ranger Warlock.
You're right. I had not even considered multi-classing, but you're right. This instantly makes Warlocks the best.
Yeah, the easiest to dip.
The easiest dip.
Or to dip out of, I guess.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, vice versa. Yeah. Okay.
So that's cool. Okay, so light and medium armor. Even when you multi-class into them, you get medium armor. So again,
oh wow, they're really building it up as a great multi-class option. Yeah, that's fantastic. A medium armor on a 1-level dip is worth it. That's a solid option.
Especially if you're already a caster with no armor proficiencies, and this is gonna not impact your spell slot progression as much or whatever.
Yes.
Get you a pact. Okay, add half your Warlock levels. Okay, they're half casters.
So half casters. Yeah, which is a shame.
All right, tell us about the pact boon that we get at first level here.
Okay, so this used to be 3rd level, and you formed a pact with an otherworldly entity. You always have Eldritch Blast and Hex spells prepared, and you choose one of the following boons: Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, or Pact of the Tome. Those are the 3 before. Looks like Pact of the Talisman has not made it in to this book. You determine the identity of the entity and choose its plane of existence. Okay, so they're not going to give you a recommendation here. You just pick. Okay. You just pick anyone.
This is just any
Any
it's
entity
like
you like.
your otherworldly patron.
Yeah, your actual one.
You're dabbling in in
a little
patronage.
dabble. And then each boon gives you a choice of a spellcasting ability. Right, so the one you pick chooses your spellcasting
Ability.
feature. You don't just get to pick one of the
Interesting.
3. Okay. And you always have that spell prepared. Okay, so it looks like the pacts are being treated as spells, not being treated
Right.
as flat abilities.
Right.
Then Pact of the Blade gives you wisdom or charisma, Chain gives you intelligence or charisma, and Tome gives you intelligence or wisdom.
Got it.
So I guess we got to look at these spells, right,
No
to see
more
how good these...
charisma. No more charisma-based tome locks, which I just barely released a video on this week.
Well, we got a year and a half before this change comes into effect, right?
So yeah, we better look at these spells, I guess. So Pact of the Blade now gets the Pact Weapon spell. Okay. So this tells us that. Let's see. It's an action to cast. It lasts 24 hours. You conjure a weapon in your hand, simple or martial. You create a bond. It has to lack the heavy property. This is very much like similar, I guess, to the Pact of the Blade before.
Pact of the Blade now, yeah.
This spell fails if you touch a magic item that is attuned to someone else.
Wait, the weapon you conjure or touch must lack the heavy property. Oh, I guess it's to stop
Can't be heavy.
It's to stop you like touching someone else's
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah. Or
And
trying
making
to
your own.
use-
That's a funny exploit
yeah.
prep. I
Yeah,
would
so
not have
you
thought of
can't-
that.
So you
Yeah.
can't just be like, oh, this is my pact weapon.
Yeah, that is really
Um,
funny as a way of disarming someone. Okay.
For the duration, you get the following benefits. When you attack with a weapon, you can. Oh my gosh. This makes me happy. This makes me so happy. Because
It's the Hexblade, but
it's the
better,
Hexblade
and everyone
dip.
is a Hexblade.
yes, exactly. And now it just opens up the Warlock subclass options, right?
To everyone.
Eldritch Warrior.
I cannot imagine any build. I mean, like any blade singer would take this dip, right?
When you attack with the weapon, you can use your spellcasting ability modifier for the attack and damage rolls instead of strength or dex.
Okay.
Woo!
So this pact one, this pact of the weapon, this one was this charisma or wisdom?
It was charisma or wisdom. I think it was charisma or wisdom.
Yeah, pact of the blade is wisdom or charisma.
Okay.
So you can't do this with blade singers. Unfortunately.
Wisdom or charisma. Got it. But still, now we could be druid gishes a lot easier.
Yes, yeah, druid. And druids have some cool ones, right? They've. I mean, Shillelagh already does this, but yeah, they've got some cool options.
And it's still easier for it's still great for paladins, for bards. Man, that's awesome.
And artificers as well. Yeah, the artificers.
It's awesome, and I'm sad that it doesn't include intelligence. If you
right, yeah, of course, yeah, not for artificers, but if you did want intelligence, the battlesmith artificer gives you that at third level, so you can get it.
That's a bigger dip.
Yeah, I know it's not the same.
Yeah.
But that is interesting.
All right. Well, if you thought a one-level warlock dip was common before,
yes, this is maybe. I mean, we're kind of gushing over it now, but this is maybe too strong, right? This might be an issue.
Well, and it automatically gives you proficiency with the weapon, so you don't have to worry about whether you're proficient in, martial weapons or not, because you can summon a martial weapon as long as it's not heavy. And now you're proficient in it. You can use your spellcasting ability to attack with it, and if the weapon has the returning property, it automatically, you don't have to use a bonus action to bring it back. It just automatically returns to your hand.
Yeah, so you've got endless
It's the
daggers
artificer's returning weapon.
Repeating shot kind of thing.
I want to say invocation. It's not invocation. What is it? Infusion.
Yeah. There's the barbarian. There's one magic barbarian gets it as well with their and Shadowblade does it too. Although I think Shadowblade's at the end of the turn.
Yes,
but
you have to use a bonus action to bring the Shadowblade back. So it's just
I mean, it seems fantastic.
It's really good.
Okay, so I mean, let's see. Pact of the So Pact of the Blade basically combines the current Pact of the Blade with Hexblades.
Yes.
So that's how they handle Hexblades, was just to Everyone gets Hexblade.
Everyone gets it.
So Pact Familiar. Yeah, I guess I'll take this one.
Yeah.
So this one is intelligence or charisma. So no wisdom, which is unusual actually, because I'd have guessed familiars would be the most like wisdomy kind of one. It's like animals. But 1 hour casting time, 10 feet, and it's instantaneous. So it's just like find familiar. So you summon an earthly entity to serve you in an occupied space of your choice within range. It uses the Pact Familiar stat block. If you already have a familiar from this spell, that familiar turns into a new one, but retains its memories, and you don't get a second. Okay. When you cast the spell, you choose the creature's type. Between celestial, dragon, aberration, fey, fiend, or undead. And it affects the familiar's default appearance. And it determines certain traits in its stat block. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of customization here.
Yeah.
Combat, the familiar is an ally to you and your companions, and it obeys you. In combat, it shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. This is how they do all of these now. Because Find Familiar, it actually rolls into initiative. It's kind of more difficult to manage.
But
I think.
This is an important difference. You use your reaction to command it instead of a bonus action. So all the summons lately since Tasha's, right, have been, they only take the dodge action unless you use a bonus action on your turn to command them.
That's true.
This is saying your reaction, which is kind of nice, actually, because it frees up that bonus action.
Yeah, that's true. And then it disappears if it drops to 0 hit points, or you can dismiss it as a bonus action, or if you die. And if you cast this spell again, you can decide whether you summon the familiar that disappeared or a different one. I think that's a new thing. I think the original Find Familiar technically didn't disappear if you died. So if you were brought back, it might still be there. And there's in one of my games, there is an orphanage full of familiars whose masters have died, and they're kind of taken care of, which is it's like a cute thing. But yes, sorry, you were saying.
Well, I think the biggest thing here, and I'm kind of grateful for this, is that, I mean, we're very explicitly told that our familiar, on its turn, the familiar takes the dodge action and uses its move to avoid danger, unless you use your reaction to command it to attack instead, not to command it to do another action, right? And so it looks like they're getting rid of familiars taking the help action and giving advantage.
Oh, you're right. Yes. And also taking the magic, they've got these new magic actions, right? So the old fashioned, like the old school combo is to give your Find Familiar a ring of spell storing and let them cast Fireball or whatever.
Right.
So okay. So now it can only attack, it seems. There's some other stuff that looks just like Find Familiar. As a magic action, you can see what your familiar sees and hear what it hears until the end of your turn. So before that blinded you to your own senses, but now it seems you can just see both.
Yeah, but it just lasts for a turn unless you keep doing it every
until
turn.
Until the end of your next turn.
Oh yeah.
No, you're right. No, I'm just thinking it through. So the theory is you position your familiar somewhere, you hide behind full cover or something, you look through its eyes to be able to cast a spell with range of sight. Maybe there's something you could do there. And then cantrip upgrade, when you reach 5th level, you can telepathically communicate with your familiar. And okay, this is just this feels like a mistake. Why is this? I don't think this is supposed to be called cantrip upgrade.
Yeah, it seems
this feels like it should be called Voice of the Chainmaster or something.
Right.
But that's interesting. Yeah, it's Voice of the Chainmaster invocation. You get it for free. Okay. So, Pact Familiar stats. AC 10 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, so it's going to be 15, hopefully quite quickly, which is okay. That's not great AC.
Not great, and they don't have a lot of hit points either.
No, 5 plus your Warlock level is not great. Still, speed 40 feet, fly 40 feet is pretty good.
Yeah.
And strength plus -3, dex. Okay, dex is +2, so it looks like they'll be attacking based off dex.
Yeah, or casting spells potentially.
That's true, yeah, and you can add your proficiency bonus to any ability check or saving throw that the familiar makes. Okay.
And here, they've only got a couple of actions. This Eldritch Strike, melee spell attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, 5-foot reach, 1 target hit, 2 plus half your Warlock level round up, damage of type determined by the creature's familiar type. It does have invisible until the
which is that's the
end of
oh,
its
right.
next turn.
Uh,
But is that canceled if they do anything? Like
I guess it's not. No, it's just until the end of next turn, but it is a whole action. So
yeah.
it kind of feels like they've taken the imp, which
Yeah.
was they could turn
Yeah.
invisible and stay invisible. And okay, I'm a little disappointed with this stat block actually. When they said that the familiar did something different based on its type, I assumed that would be
It's
more
just
than
damage type.
damage type. That's a bit lame.
Yeah.
This feels like a worse imp, which was only one
Yeah.
of 3 or 4 great options.
Right. Yeah, and the big thing, I mean, I guess really what it is it's still a familiar that you can use to scout and, you know, and those things that the familiar can do, which is great. It looks like they're removing, and I'm assuming they're going to do the same with the Find Familiar spell.
Yes.
You know, they're saying no more, like they can take whatever action that a creature can typically take. It's like, nope, they're just going to dodge and move around, or you can use your reaction to have them make an attack. And that's pretty much all they're good for in combat. And to be fair, a free reaction attack, even if it's not a great amount of damage or hit chance, is not nothing, right? On a spellcaster who's rarely going to be making opportunity attacks, and probably not using their reaction for a whole lot.
Maybe that's it. I mean, their hit points and AC are so low, though, that I'm wondering if you're going to realistically... Well, I suppose... Okay, so I suppose this is how you're... Potentially, you'd have to use it, right? They turn invisible on the first turn, and they dodge. Second turn, they make their attack at advantage, and they can retreat without provoking an opportunity attack because they're invisible, and they stop being invisible at the end of that turn.
Yeah.
And then you just... So every other attack, you're getting an attack at advantage.
Yeah. And not risking them getting killed when they fly away.
Hopefully they won't just die instantly.
Right.
And at level 20, they're hitting for 12 damage. At level 10, they're hitting for 7.
Yeah.
So
it's not a crazy amount. It's just a little something that also provides some utility functionality.
Yes, you also get the fun. I mean, I think Find Familiar is a great spell. It teeters around being my favorite spell in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is very good.
This is a nerf probably.
This is a nerf. And it's you get it at level 1, but you've always got to consider what you give up. You can't just evaluate these things in a vacuum. And if you're giving up the blade for this, that is huge, right? By comparison, just in terms of the raw power of the ability. Now, you might not want to play a character with a weapon, right? You might, but even so, I think this is pretty bad. I think this needs a bit more love.
Here's something that we missed from Pact Weapon. I didn't go over to column 2. Cantrip upgrade. When you reach 5th level as a warlock, you gain the extra attack feature for the conjured or magic weapon only. So now, again, this is
that used to be an invocation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't improved pack weapon. It was Thirsting Blade. Thirsting Blade.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
So free extra attack, and again, like now, granted, you need 5 levels in Warlock to get here, right? But again, like Druid Gishes, Rejoice, like. Man, this really opens up some things that were not previously particularly viable, and that excites me in and of itself.
Yeah, this is spectacular in terms of that. I mean, it shows how good it is, right? We're talking about Pact Familiar, and we're still discussing all this Pact Weapon. The Pact Familiar is fine, but it's worse than it used to be. I think this Pact Weapon is. It always sucks to take something that's exciting and say like, I don't know if we can keep this. Right. That feels a little too strong potentially.
Right. And also though, I was just gonna say, like, again, kind of getting back to what we were talking about in the beginning, it feels like by making warlocks half casters, it feels like they're kind of saying, hey, you're gonna be attacking with weapons a lot, or potentially like Eldritch Blasting all the time. Which they kind of were doing already anyway, I guess. It's just that now your spells, you can cast your spells more often, maybe, but they're not going to be as powerful. But I don't know. Okay.
I think it might be too good. So far, I mean, well, this is to be expected, right? They're changing up so much that it's going to have the most problems because this is a huge change to the class.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a lot of issues with balance, and I think so far that's not a balance. Like that doesn't look very fair to me comparing the two side by side. But we'll see how the Book of Shadows does. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Okay. So it takes an hour to cast the Book of Shadows spell, and you conjure forth your book. And when the book appears, 2 cantrips, 2 first level spells that have the ritual tag. This is similar, right? The spells can be from Arcane. Any spell list. Must be spells you don't already have prepared. You can use the book as
I think this is all the same.
When you reach 5th level, here's the upgrade. When you reach 5th level as a warlock, this spell also enhances other cantrips while the book is on your person. You can add your warlock spellcasting ability modifier to the damage rolls of any cantrip you cast that doesn't already have that modifier added to it. Okay, wow, that's cool. So this is agonizing blast on whatever cantrip
every
you want.
cantrip.
That's potentially nice. Of course, Eldritch Blast is still better.
Is already
in that you're getting multiple.
It's already
beams.
the strongest.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're
beams.
already.
So you're adding your modifier multiple times.
Yeah, any cantrip you cast. So again, this is one of those ones which looks like it's going to combo very nicely with the Sorcerer one, where you're making, if you could be bothered to take it that far.
Sure.
I don't want to get too deep into theory crafting now, but the one where you're doing like that cone attack and you're hitting.
And you're getting multiple chances to re-roll those or to roll extra d6s.
Giving a +5 to every single one of those, that's going to be pretty significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about that. That seems like a good ability, but it might just be better to, like, you're probably going to be using it on Eldritch Blast all the time anyway.
Right. And so if it's a false choice, then it's not a choice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, those are major differences. Let's see, what else do we have? So we've gone over the pacts. We've kind of gone over the spellcasting in that, it's resetting on a short rest. It's long rest, half-caster type stuff. Okay, so there are a lot of invocations, a lot of changes. We're going to do quick high-level stuff. A lot of stuff didn't change. Agonizing Blast, Armor of Shadows. A lot of these are very similar, but there were just a few that we thought maybe we ought to highlight. Did you say Favor of the Chainmaster? Yeah,
I think this is just significant because it plays into it actually gives you a reason to choose a different familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you an extra benefit when your familiar attacks someone.
Okay.
Only from 9th level though, so I don't know if this is going to be impactful enough in most games to justify taking the familiar. But let's talk about these. It looks like, just to rush through them, they reduce the speed by 15 feet and they can't dash or disengage. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Guiding Light gives advantage and it's not invisible, so it's basically like Fairy Fire for a turn. Dragon knocks them prone. That's pretty good. No saving throw actually is on any of these.
Yeah. Medium or smaller only to be knocked prone, though. So that's pretty limiting, but still.
That is actually true. We have Beguiling Sting is automatic charm. That's pretty decent. Guaranteed charm. Although, of course, a lot of powerful enemies are immune to it, but still. Yeah. Same with poison, yeah. Good ability, but a lot of people are immune. And then undead, they're frightened of you. Or your familiar. Okay, so it's some utility.
Those are pretty cool. A lot of them. Not getting it until 9th level is painful. But man, granted, a lot of creatures are immune to poison, but a lot more aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
So automatically being able to poison stuff as long as your familiar can hit, I guess. Or charm or knock them prone. This is almost like free Fairy Fire. That's just the next attack roll has advantage. So that's there's how you get how you get advantage with your familiar. But first,
that is it. Yeah, if you're doing the vexing thing. I could see with some minor tweaks, I could see all of these coming in at 1st level.
Sure.
And that would make the familiar
right.
Or maybe or 5th. Yeah. If you wanna you could either tweak it and bring it in at first, like give people saving throws, or
Sure.
you keep it as is and putting it at 5th.
Yeah.
Um,
Ninth level
that
feels
would-
too long to wait.
A lot of games end about level 11.
Right.
I've found.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So
Um,
I thought that was worth mentioning.
There was some others. Let's see here. Hexer. This is new. When you cast Hex, its range is 600 feet, and you have advantage on any Constitution saving throws you make to maintain your concentration on the spell. Okay. So just a little buff for Hex.
That makes sense.
Life Drinker. This is different. So this is the one that would add your Charisma modifier to your weapon attacks, every weapon attack. Now it comes in at 9th instead of 12th level, so that's nice. But then they take an extra d6 of necrotic damage, not your charisma modifier, so that's a little worse most of the time.
Yeah, it's an average of 3,
But you also
and you gain
also
hit
regain
points.
hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt. When you hit a creature with the weapon, the creature takes an extra 1d6. So you only regain the hit points once per turn, but you deal an extra d6 of damage on every single attack.
Oh, you do. Okay, so it's 2d6 every turn if you're Pact of the Blade, which you have to be,
Sure.
which is not
or-
nothing. An extra 2d6, and you get back 3.
Yeah, that's
hit
right. I
points
guess there's
on average.
no option. I'm not seeing anything that lets you. Is there like improved pact weapon that now we can use a heavy weapon too, or something? I'm not seeing that in here, so maybe not. Maybe.
Oh yeah,
Maybe-
good call. I did not. Yeah, that's a good
Maybe
point.
you're
That was the old
always
one. Let it be
limited.
heavy.
Yeah.
So you're always limited. So your
So you-
best you're going to be
so-
doing is the longsword, maybe.
No more Pam locks, no more polearm warlocks.
Yeah.
Looks like. Unless probably multi-classing, but again, you're not going to take Pact of the Blade because the Pact of the Blade can't be a heavy weapon. So
Yeah.
you could, though. Well, I don't know. Again, don't want to get too much into the theory crafting, but I'm sure there's.
Yeah,
on the
it's
weapon
impossible
feat.
not to, isn't it? You're
Yeah.
starting to put together
You start,
these combos.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Any others that we wanted to? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
so
the Mystic Arcanum is like the big one, right?
All right, we better get into this. Here, you go.
Okay, so your explorations on the arcane have unlocked magic within you. So you choose one spell from the arcane spell list that has a level for which you qualify, as shown in the Mystic Arcanum table. So can you scroll down to that?
Where's
It'll be down.
Oh,
slightly.
here we go.
So you choose. So if you're a level 11 to 12, you get a 6th level, 13 to 14, 7th. So you can still access. Because we were talking about this
Higher
before. Like
level.
warlocks can no longer get these high level spells. Well, they still can. And you can cast it once without a spell slots, but you have to repeat. You have to finish a long rest before you do it again. And then you can take this invocation more than once, but each time you do, the spell must be of a different level from any other spell you've chosen for this invocation.
Interesting.
So before, warlocks used to get 1 6th level spell at level 11, 1 7th level spell at level 13. Now, basically, you have to take this invocation to pick up 1 spell of
keep
any
up.
level above
Yeah.
3rd.
Yeah.
But you need to keep taking it to get access to more.
Right. So if you wanted to feel more like a full spellcaster, you could get close by using all
Yes,
of
if
your
you take
invocations
this
to
like
get
4
there.
times, you
Yeah.
can get your 6th, 7th, 8th, and
I
9th
mean,
level spells.
So currently, when this first becomes available at level 5 Warlock, you still only have 2nd level spells, right? So if you take this, you can get a 3rd level spell, but just 1.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you do just get 1, which is all you'd get anyway as a wizard at that level. In their defense.
You get 2. Don't you get 2 spell slots at
Yeah, but
5th level?
you get 2/3.
2 third
Maybe
level
you do.
spell slots? Yeah, I think you get
I
2
thought it
third
was-
level spell slots at 5th level.
Oh, okay.
So but at least at least you can get a 3rd level spell once per day, right? And then 1 4th level spell at 7th level, 1 5th level spell at 9th level. So yeah, it definitely helps you feel more like a full spellcaster. But you're using your invocations to get there. And so then it's almost like, oh, I should have just gone full spellcaster. I mean, I don't know.
Yes,
There's
that's true.
probably some things where because Pact of the Blade is so good, then well, sure, give me a 3rd level spell. I want Spirit Shroud.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and
And it can be
things
from
like
the
that.
arcane
So,
spell list, which is the biggest spell list. It's the
yes.
wizard spell list. So I think this is. I'm not crazy about it, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Like when we first saw it, we were like, "Oh, they don't get any spells now."
Right.
That's crazy. But this is better than that. But
I wish that they would tweak this a little bit so that you can change the spell that you took with this invocation at different levels. Do you know what I mean? So that I don't have to take, like, if I take it at 5th level Warlock and I get a 3rd level spell, well, I can't just swap that to a 4th level spell when I hit 7th level. I actually have to take the invocation again to get a 4th level spell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually they have this is really I saw this when I was scrolling through earlier. You can do that. It's for some reason it's not written here. It should be, but it's actually written up at the top. I'll just read it out here. It's written in the invocation section. So
yeah.
Whenever you gain a Warlock level, you can choose one of your invocations and replace it with another one. Or if the invocation involved a choice, like Mystic Arcanum, you can replace the invocation with itself, but make a different choice.
Got it.
So every level, you can choose a different spell.
That's cool. That's cool. That gives you a little more flexibility and not feel like that 3rd level spell I took 7 levels ago, now that I'm level 12 or whatever, isn't quite as cool as it was back then. And
so you can take fireball at level 5 and 6, and then you can change it to polymorph at level 7. And you can kind of just climb up, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, Repelling Blast, I think this is important. Whenever you hit a creature that is large or smaller with Eldritch Blast, you can push that creature horizontally up to 10 feet. I think it used to not have a size limit.
It didn't say horizontally, and maybe I'm an egomaniac, I don't know, but literally like a month and a half ago, I made a video about how you could run underneath people as a halfling, move through their space, fire up, knock them in the air. It was the halfling catapult. I don't know if I invented it. I'd never seen it before. Maybe I didn't.
That's hilarious because
it was new to me.
I did a build called the Catapult recently too. We're riffing off each other.
Totally. Well, I mean, that's always what happened. Whenever someone makes a video, Reddit gets a hold of it,
gets out,
and then it gets pushed around, and everyone goes, "Yeah." But I, as far as I know, I was the person who found that, and it definitely feeds into my persecution complex that they are watching my videos specifically, or watching our videos specifically to find things to forbid people from doing.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but like I don't think that's a necessary. I mean, whatever. They can change it to horizontally. I'll let my players fling people through the air. I think it's too fun.
It has to be horizontal, and it's larger, smaller, so it doesn't work on huge or bigger anymore.
That's new, isn't it? It used to just be anything, right?
Yep. So a nerf to Repelling Blast.
Okay, but at least it is still as many times as you want per turn.
Yes, yeah.
Is the Hadar, the grasp of Hadar, is that still once per turn?
Just once. That was always weird that one only worked.
It was always weird that it was once per turn.
Oh, it's not even on the list.
Okay, I guess they didn't change anything then. Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe
I agree. It was always very weird that the one that pulls them closer to you was once per turn, but the one that pushes them away was as many times as you like. I never really understood why that was the case.
Yeah, because it feels no more exploitable and maybe less exploitable because at some point they're going to get to you. So it's not like you can just pull them infinitely. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, I never really got that. But hey, what can you do? Okay,
so Fiend Patron. Okay, so jumping into the subclass here, we've got the Fiend. There's been some changes. I think the biggest one to mention maybe, and this applies to all Warlock subclasses, is that previously you'd get an expanded spell list, but it was just like you could potentially take these spells if you wanted to, and now you just automatically always have them prepared, like every other subclass of every other spellcaster in D&D 5e. I think you just get these spells, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I used to screw that up all the time. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a Hexblade Warlock. I automatically have Shield. It's like, no, you still have to choose it.
Which was a shame, especially with Warlocks being so limited.
Right.
The old Warlocks.
Right. But then also you can cast one of those free spells that you get once per day without spending a spell slot. So that's kind of nice too, just a little extra spell casting, and might actually have a bigger influence now on what you choose for your subclass based on,
Yes, getting one free spell. I mean, this
Yeah.
would have been huge if it was back when Warlocks only had 2 spell slots altogether.
Sure.
Now it's not so much,
It's
but
not
yes, even
as
so.
okay. So
I
what are
think the
themes
spells
good?
are all the same. They seem fine spells.
Burning
I'm a big
Hands,
fan of Wall of
Command,
Fire and
Discretionary.
Suggestion are 2 of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of differences, it looks like, but well, and of course you're not getting them until much later because you're a half caster, right?
Yes.
Um,
Let's have a look at the Fiend just so I can see any differences.
yeah. Burning Hands.
Yeah, so Dark One's Blessing is when you reduce an enemy or an enemy within 5 feet of you falls. So if someone knocks out an enemy next to you, it kind of makes me feel like the Fiend will be best as a Blade Warlock, getting up and close with enemies.
Yeah,
and you get a bit of temporary HP.
And this only used to work if you specifically reduce them to 0 hit points. Now it's if an enemy, if an enemy drops to 0 hit points within 5 feet of you. So if somebody else knocks them out, you still get the temporary hit points, which is nice.
Yeah, it does seem like it'll combo nicely with an up front line, sword and board type.
Right.
And then it's 6th level, Dark One's Own Luck. So you make an ability check or saving throw. You can add 1d10 to the roll after you see the roll. So it's a bit of consistency.
Yeah.
And you can use it up to your spellcasting modifier. Okay, that's pretty decent, actually.
Right. It used to be once per short or long rest. And now it's
so I guess this plays into the
day.
Warlocks not having short rests
Right.
anymore. Like not being a short rest caster anymore.
Right. 10th level Fiendish Resilience. Channeling the preternatural resilience of fiends. You can choose one damage type other than force. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you gain resistance to that damage type. That's nice. There used to not be a force prohibition.
Okay, yeah.
And damage from magical weapons or silvered weapons ignores this resistance. You used to say that, now that's gone too. So okay. So you just have some free resistance of your choice, which is kind of nice. You can switch it up too.
You can plan ahead, can't you? If you're going up against a red dragon, you pick up the fire.
And then Hurl Through Hell, which was their big capstone. What's that do? Any difference?
When you, I think it's the same apart from it takes a saving throw. Basically, it's 10d10 psychic damage if they fail a save, and on a success it takes half as much. And you can use it again if you expend a 4th level spell slot. Which you get this at level 14, so I think you must have a 4th level spell slot by then, but you don't get many with the Warlock.
But still, it's, 10d10 damage for a 4th level spell slot, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And of course, and it's automatic on fiends. If the target is not a fiend.
Right, then it gets a wisdom save, yeah. Okay.
So I'm guessing if it is a fiend, it doesn't get a wisdom save at all. So maybe if does it not work on fiends at all?
That's super effective. That's my interpretation. I think it doesn't work on fiends.
Doesn't do anything. Oh, okay. Initially, I was like, if it's not a fiend, it just auto fails. But actually, it looks like if it's not a fiend, it doesn't. Which makes sense, right? You're sending them to the Abyss or Avernus or something, so it makes sense that a fiend wouldn't care.
The previous version did not give a saving throw. It just happened.
Yes, which is a big deal.
A big nerf.
Yeah, this is a pretty significant downgrade.
Yeah. And let's see, at the end of your next turn. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway. So yeah, they get a saving throw now. So that's a big nerf. Okay.
Yeah. So
final thoughts on Warlock changes? You're not a fan.
I think there's too much here to just be like, this is amazing, or this sucks.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's just too many things that have changed to evaluate. My instinct is, although some of the ideas are exciting, this feels unbalanced. It feels like Pact is way too good, relative to the others, and I liked how Warlocks were before a lot. I liked their identity, so I feel like this is a loss of flavor quite significantly. But I'm not too concerned about the new Mystic Arcanum. I actually don't mind that as an invocation. I think that features fine. I think this is just an issue of I would rather, we've kind of said, would you take this or would the new one or the old one? We've said that as we've gone through, and this is a situation where I think the old Warlock is leads to a much more unique and exciting way to play the game.
Sure.
This to me feels like the best reason to be a Warlock is now gone, and you might as well be a Sorcerer a little bit.
I kind of feel like, I love the new Pact of the Blade.
Yeah.
And I hope that it survives the playtest. But it definitely feels more overpowered than the other two options. So I'm hoping that they'll bring those up in power and not nerf this one, personally. But that's mostly because I just love Gishes so much. I just love spell swords. And so having more options to make more of them is wonderful for me. I would say that I can see where they're going, because it is frustrating. It can be frustrating to be a Warlock and to have like more than one combat per short rest and feel like I don't ever want to use my spells because I don't get to even cast one per combat encounter. You know what I mean? I think there's a very real possibility that could happen at your table, and that can be frustrating. But I feel like, in an attempt to like give them more spell casting abilities, making them just a straight up half caster was maybe going too far, right? It's almost like, how about just keep them like they were, but give them a third spell slot at 5th level or something like that, right? Just like,
it feels like it might be an overcorrection, right?
Yeah. Or I mean, could you make this version of the Warlock a full spellcaster like Sorcerers and Wizards? Would they be too strong if you did that? I don't think so. It's hard to say, I guess. But at the end of the day,
it would be. They might be too strong with the D8 hit dice and the medium armor and stuff.
Sure.
It's a whole conversation. I think
Eldritch
there's so much
Blast
changed
being
here.
as good as it is.
Yeah, there's so much changed that you have to like you can't really change one piece without having to change everything else as well, because it's almost like they've built a new subclass from scratch. Like this is a completely different, this isn't like a tweaked Warlock, this is like a whole reimagining of what it might be to be a Warlock. So
more so than any other class that we've seen so far in any of the UA.
Even more than the Ranger was. This feels
exactly.
this feels like a whole thing. But also, like I said, the new Pact of the Blade is so ridiculously good that this is probably the strongest class we've seen as well. Absolutely.
It makes me want to make, a better cleric Gish or a better druid Gish. Or
cleric druid Gish.
I wish that intelligence was an option there.
Me too. I would love to see the Blade Singer Hexblade is like what a world that would be.
I made one, a Hexblade Singer.
Really? Wow.
A few months ago, and
you have to work for that.
It's
I bet.
so mad.
It's so mad.
For sure. But it was a fun experiment, if nothing else.
Yeah, for real.
Okay. Coming down the home stretch.
Last one. Yeah.
4 hours into this thing or whatever we are.
Very deep.
Wizard. Okay, wizards. You are overpowered. Everybody knows it. So what did they do about it?
Let's see how they go.
Let's see. Let's look at the chart.
Through. Okay, so academic, that's new.
That's new. Arcane
Wizard subclass at 3rd level, not 2nd, obviously.
Right. Memorize spell. That's going to be something new.
Modify spell. Create spell. I created a load of mechanics for crafting your own spells recently in my magazine. It looks like they're doing some kind of spell crafting mechanic here as well, which is cool.
Yeah. Nothing at 11th or 12th because you're getting, again, new, better spells.
That's like 6th level, 7th level.
Yeah, it looks pretty...
Spell mastery, they had that already, didn't they? And signature spells, they had that already. This looks pretty similar.
Okay, so let's see. As far as like hit dice and things are the same. Proficiencies, armor training, none, of course. Weapon training. Oh, sorry, there's the proficiencies. Same saving throws. Yep. Simple weapons, so that's a little different. It's just a little easier. Instead of saying like light crossbows, daggers, and blah, blah, it's just like simple weapons. No armor. Okay, and then Yeah, your spellcasting stuff is pretty much par for the course, it looks like. You can swap out your prepared spells. So what's this spell book?
Okay,
It's like
this is a new one.
feature.
So, yeah, they say it's gonna like consolidate everything. So, it's a tiny object, weighs 3 pounds, 100 pages, each of which can hold a spell. So it holds all the spells you know. We know you can use it as a spellcasting focus now, and so when you write in a magical cipher using the spell Scribe spell, okay. So no one can read it apart from you without
steal
music,
it.
basically.
Yeah.
Without magic, yeah. Known spells, it's insane spells you know first level or higher. This is all the same. You can add spells to your book. And every time you gain a level, you can add 2 arcane spells without needing to cast Scribe spell. So it seems there's a spell now called Scribe spell, which is what you use to learn a new spell.
Yeah.
Like convert a existing spell into your spell book. And then ritual casting is the same, and you can create another spell book. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, that's nice and easy to do.
Pretty straightforward. A couple of just quality of life clarification things.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's simple stuff. But it looks like academic is a new one. So yeah, do you want to lead us through this?
Yeah, your time as a scholar is equipped you to recall about lore when you take the study action, which is new.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
You have advantage on any intelligence check you make as part of that action. So you have advantage on intelligence checks. Yeah, you take the study action, you make an intelligence check to study your memory, a book, creature, clue, object, and recall something about it. The areas of knowledge table suggest which skills are applicable when you take this action. So yeah, it's sort of for those that are familiar with Pathfinder, it looks like it's the recall knowledge. Same thing as like recall knowledge. So you're just trying to learn or remember something about a thing using a variety of skills depending on what it is that you're trying to remember or learn about, right? And so now as a wizard, because you're a scholar, you get advantage on any that use an intelligence-based skill, like religion or investigation. Wait, is religion intelligence? Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Arcana, but not.
So it's
nature.
basically just using an action to make a check that. So that for some reason it looks like they've given you these search action as well. So it looks like instead of just saying, oh, you can use an action to make an intelligence check, it's like you use an action to search or use an action to study.
Right.
So basically you have advantage on that.
So it's a little utility bump.
Yeah.
Okay. Arcane recovery I think is the same. It just moved to second level.
That's the same.
Right?
Yeah. Wizard subclass obviously used to be at second, now it's third.
Okay, what's memorize spell? Oh, it's a spell.
It is a spell, so it's just like the sorcerers.
Yeah.
Looks like they're getting spells. Okay.
Okay, so memorize spell. No, hold on. Spell.
There we go.
Okay, so yeah, walk us through.
I'll take it. Yeah, so it takes a minute to cast, so you are not doing this in combat. You choose one spell from your spell book that you don't have prepared, and you choose another spell that you do have prepared. The unprepared spell replaces the prepared spell on your list of prepared spells. Okay, so normally when you wake up each day, you choose your spells, right? This basically lets you swap one of them out at the cost. I mean, this is a ritual spell, so at the cost of 11 minutes worth of time, you can swap a couple of spells around. So if you didn't bring, I'm guessing this is like if you didn't bring your water walk spell, or some kind of utility spell.
Short rest.
You can swap it out with
between combat.
11 minutes, and now we can go. Now we can go underwater or whatever. Right. So seems
that's nice.
Reasonable.
Nice utility.
Okay.
And yeah, I like that because it sucks to prepare water walk or water breathing because you're just like, when am I going to use this? Like, it's so but it's like, okay, now it's just in your spell book, and if you need it, you'll have it. Which is
exactly.
Which is cool.
Okay, so this is your 4th level option.
Right.
Do you want to take this one?
Sure. So again, casting time of a minute. You magically alter one arcane spell you have prepared. You can change its color, sound, smell, and you make one of the following modifications. Components, remove one of the spell's components. You can't remove the material component of a spell that consumes that component. That's
Okay.
interesting. So it's almost like a subtle spell light, but permanently for this
Yeah, you
spell.
can give that spell. So at the cost of a minute, you do it in the morning, or 11 minutes because it's a ritual. You choose one spell and you make it so you can cast it silently.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Or, you remove it's got verbal and somatic. You remove the somatic, and now you can cast it with your hands full.
Yeah, it seems useful. Oh wow! No, keep going. Yeah, did you see that?
Concentration. If the spell requires concentration, damage can't break your concentration on the spell. Yay! Here's what I love. Both of these things are removing the Warcaster tax, which I greatly appreciate because I hate
true.
that feat.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of giving Warcaster. That's really strong because usually the answer to these busted wizard spells, like Wall of Force and others, is to shatter the concentration.
Yep.
Most monsters don't have a concentration shaking option other than damage, so this is extremely strong.
Yeah. You can change the damage type. If it's acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, poison, or thunder. So that's an addition to the elemental types that the sorcerers were getting.
Yeah.
If it has multiple damage types, you can change only one of them. That's pretty cool.
So you can only make one of these modifications. We should clarify that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you can't do all of this stuff onto one
range.
spell.
I mean, this is like meta magic stuff. You can increase the range.
It is basically meta magic, yeah.
If it lacks the ritual tag and has a casting time of at least 10 minutes, give it the ritual tag. Okay, that's
okay, sure.
Marginally useful. Targets the spell. If the spell affects one or more creatures and doesn't have a range of self, it now affects only your allies or enemies. Oh, so it's a spell.
Careful spell, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is good, but it really eats into that sorcerer space, doesn't it?
Yes. It does a little bit. It lasts until you cast Modify Spell again or finish a long rest, so you got to wake up and do it again the next day. Man, it's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, it's very strong. That concentration one is extremely strong,
So
I think.
strong. Yeah. And the components one and the damage type one could be fun to play with. Yeah, there's a lot to play with there.
Yeah, you can play around. Okay, and then at level 8 you get a feat, and level 9 you get Create Spell. And that's like the last of the really new features.
Okay, so Create Spell. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so as a reaction, in response to your self-casting Modify Spell. Wow, okay, this is getting pretty deep in terms of spell things. Yeah. So to do this, you would have to cast Modify Spell and then burn a 5th level spell slot.
And
so
1,000
synthesizing
gold.
And 1,000 gold, yes.
Per level of the spell altered.
Okay, so if you were altering a 5th level spell, you'd be paying 5,000 gold to do this one. So that is prohibitively expensive in most campaigns. To the point where you probably, unless your DM is cool with it, you're probably only going to be using this spell maybe even like 3 or 4 times a campaign until you get to like level 10, 12, whatever. When money starts not mattering. Okay, so synthesizing your arcane knowledge and power, you create a new spell. You must concentrate for an hour and meditate on the spell you just altered with Modify Spell. Otherwise, this fails. If you succeed, you then have to scribe that. You cast Scribe Spell, so then you have to immediately scribe it into your spell book, and you add that altered spell to your spell book. And once it's in your spell book, it becomes one of your known spells, and it gains the Wizard Source tag rather than the Arcane tag, and it gains a name of your choice.
That's really strong. Because now you can, correct me if I'm wrong, would this then allow you to eventually like put multiple modifications on the same spell?
Yeah, you would. You could use your first one on a fireball to make it so it only affects your enemies.
Right.
And then you could use your second one to turn the fireball into necrotic damage or increase the range.
Right. Or, you could do one to make it so that you can't lose concentration on a spell. And then later, make it so that, was there a duration increasing one? Like, I don't think there was. I don't know. I'm just thinking of like, we would need to just keep like making a spell more and more and more powerful. Or what I would probably do is just go through and like make all of my concentration spells so that you can't lose concentration.
And you can remove one component at a time as well. So you can remove the verbal, then the somatic, then you make it so you can't lose concentration, then you can make the range whatever you want. I think the most powerful one is definitely the concentration.
Yes.
The only limit. This is a disgustingly powerful spell. The only limit is the money.
The money,
which means that this is going to be either insane in some campaigns where your DM just throws money at you. Or it's going to be you'll never be able to use it because 5,000 gold to make it so you can't drop concentration on Wall of Force is a lot of money. But that's crazy. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? That's something to think about.
That's really, really cool and really good. Let's see. Maybe it tells us. Hold on. Magical research spell. These spells, spells, complete that trio of spells you create a spell. Okay, nope, never mind. So yeah, it doesn't seem to say that like you can't further modify a new spell.
So the intent is that you slowly. I mean, at the cost of a lot of gold, and wizards already are low on gold because you're constantly buying stuff to scribe spells.
Sure.
But the cost of a lot of gold, you can kind of slowly craft up, level by level. You can craft a really powerful, unique version of Fireball, or
make your 2 or 3 or 4 most used, most popular concentration spells all essentially concentration free, or not concentration. Sorry, unable to lose concentration. Unless
not being able to drop
unless you get knocked out, right? Or
it's like not being able to drop concentration on a dominate person or something is crazy. Can I give you a deeply cynical take about this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with something. So this feature, all wizards get it, right? So a lot of people are gonna be using it, and one of the features is that it lets you change your spell, right, to deal a different damage type and look different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet that the new VTT they're making will have a ton of microtransactions that lets you change how your spells appear when you cast them.
Right.
And you'll be able to pay 89 cents to change a fireball to look green when you cast
ball. It. Or whatever.
Yeah, and you can, and it'll look different. And I mean, it's ridiculously cynical to say, is this an ability that is designed to lean into microtransactions?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's like wild as a concept, but do you know what I mean? This feels almost like, look, if we were to design something that would encourage people to spend money on a VTT to change an aesthetic, this is how I would do it. This is something that I'd come up with, right?
Sure.
Like, let's make something where they can customize it in their head, and then, you've made this awesome spell. Wouldn't you just want to spend $1, just $1, to make it actually look like what it should? And then, and now you can change it again, and now you can change it with the smell. Why don't you pay, 45 cents and you can have these stink lines?
Oh, that's funny.
I wonder. I seriously wonder if that was a conversation that was had. It might not be the only reason they made this, but I'm really curious. Did someone bring that up? Did someone higher up? Did Chris Ko say to Jeremy Crawford, "Look, make a feature that encourages people to spend money on microtransactions"? I'm actually fascinated. I don't know if there's that level of communication, but I'm actually, that's what this makes me think of.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Spell Mastery got moved up from 18th to 15th level.
But it is basically the same.
Yeah, and
it gets you your free shield. Everyone uses shield 18. Or silvery barbs.
Yeah, for sure. Signature spells got moved from 20 to 18, and I think that's it. Epic Boon at 20. Oh well, we got the Evoker. So
okay, last one. Let's finish
this off. Into the subclass here. Okay, so not a lot has changed here. It looks like. Evocation Savant, just instead of making it easier and cheaper to learn new evocation spells, you just get 2 evocation spells from the arcane spell list.
So that's the big difference. I'm guessing this will be all wizard subclasses do this now.
Yeah.
It's not half the oh no, you do still get half the gold cost.
Okay, yeah.
But also you just get 2 evocation spells,
like no higher than 2nd level, so just a couple of free evocation spells.
A couple of freebies at low levels, yeah.
Is sculpt spells changed?
No, that looks the same. It's probably it's going to be less impactful now that they've got that modify spell.
Right.
But it lets you protect people from your fireball.
Yeah,
the meta magic, yeah.
Potent cantrip looks like it's different in that before it would only work on cantrips where they were making saving throws. Now it's saves or spell attacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
So
pretty useful, reliable damage.
That's
honestly.
great, actually. You miss, even if you miss, they still take half damage on your attack roll. So yeah, I mean, again, getting back to that sorcerer thing, you know.
Yeah.
Again, now I'm
definitely
thinking of like the ultimate cantrip.
You can definitely do something with this is just good reliable damage, right? So you can hit them, like I say, your firebolt is dealing, even if it misses at this level, it's still dealing a good 5-6 damage.
I mean, and that's great, right? Like how many martial characters like get to do half damage on their weapon attacks if they miss?
Exactly.
None.
Yeah.
Although there is the new weapon.
There's the graze feature. Yeah.
Specialization, but it's not as good. It's your ability score modifier, and that's it. So
this seems good in grindy games where you are expending your spell slots regularly.
Sure.
Having a cantrip upgrade is worth it.
Yeah. Empowered evocation. Let's see. Sorry.
You add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage roll. Yeah,
that's
fair enough.
The same, right? And then overchannel is the same, I think. 1st through 5th level wizard spell, maximum damage. Oh, the first time you used to take, okay, so no, yeah, it's the same. You take 2d12 necrotic damage.
If you can't, so basically you can't repeatedly use it.
Yeah.
Still, it's not bad. It's a max damage fireball is it's quite tasty.
Yeah. All right,
bruh.
I think
that was a long time.
I think my initial pitch to you on this collaboration was like, it'll only take us like an hour or two. We'll just kind of go through this.
Well, we kind of went through it at the beginning. I don't think we were recording at the time, but yeah, this is probably in terms of as a way to deliver information, not really appropriate in terms of size. I don't think it's reasonable to expect your average D&D fan, to read through all this and then playtest it.
And then playtest it. Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like I worry that they're going to get less feedback than they otherwise would, because not everybody's going to be able to play everything, right? It's like, oh well,
and to some extent there'll be
shots and
that analysis paralysis as well, of just like, oh, I've got to check everything, I'll just not bother then. And as I said before, I saw how long this was, and I did kind of feel for the designers who've had to put this out in such a tiny amount of time. They clearly are crunching hard. So whether you like this stuff or not, I don't think anyone can accuse the designers of not working hard. They are really going for it.
Right.
But yeah, we'll have to see what people think as well. But yeah, do you have any like overall like closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I mean, we've probably kind of covered everything. It seems to me like, aside from the Warlock, most of the class changes are, small incremental, sometimes a lot, sometimes a few. It doesn't change anything massively. It's like the Warlock changes and the changes to weapon specialization stuff were like the big, like, oh, this can really alter the game a lot. Fighter barbarians got some small bumps. Sorcerers and wizards got some bumps, some nerfs. And warlocks are totally different. Yeah.
Warlocks are crazy different, and I know a lot of people were thinking or hoping that marshals we brought more in line with spellcasters. I didn't see nothing in either made me think like, oh, finally they're even now.
Yes,
I still think there's a massive power imbalance there. So
I do think
clearly
there's a gap.
It's not in their intent to close that gap.
It's smaller than it was, but it didn't go from here to here. It went from here to here. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of
it's a very minor, and mostly that's just due to the weapon upgrade system, right? Not any actual class features.
Yeah, some small bumps to the classes, but
added a new weapons feature. So
yeah,
and of course, even in this huge breakdown that we've done, we haven't touched on all. There was loads of new spells we didn't look at, and loads of new feats like the runes and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, this was awesome, dude. It was an honor to do this with you.
No, it was so fun. Thanks for taking up so much of your time.
No, it was my pleasure, man. And it's just fun. Now I've looked at it too, which it would have taken me ages to get through. It's
right. It would have been a week or two before I found time to do this.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I guess let everyone can let us know what they think in the comments. There's probably stuff we missed, right? But thanks so much, man. And I guess if you haven't seen part 1, check it out on my channel.
Absolutely.
And if you hear from
And-
my channel, subscribe to Colby right now.
Okay.
Cool.
Vice versa.
All right, bro. Cool.
Okay,
See you
man.
later, everyone.
Have a great day. Great evening, I
You too.
should say. And take care.
Yeah, for real. In a bit.